my God. You got me a shrunken head.
Pretty awesome.
And with all due respects, we could not leave out the old man.
Nothing says I love you like a shrunken head as a gift. I'm gonna have to say, you guys did get Rick's head a little too small though.
Oh my gosh. So you have an iron casket.
Yes, this is an 1860s Fisk iron casket.
Okay. This thing just creeps me out.
This man approaches Chum with a strange, almost eerie-looking case. Naturally, Chum calls in Rick so he can take a look at the weird item himself. One can't help but wonder how this seller even got his hands on such a spooky item. Let's hear what he has to say about it.
I think the Vampire Defense Kit's over 100 years old. My grandpa got it in 1960, and then I got it when he passed away.
This is truly one of the creepiest things I've ever been around. Just due to the fact that it's real. This is the kind of stuff that would be in a movie or something like that, but...
Interesting. Rick delves deeper into the possibility of vampires, and the atmosphere becomes even creepier. What's hidden inside this case isn't something you'd find lying around. Chum is instantly fascinated by the whole thing. Rick is determined to find out where this seller got this.
Where did you obtain this?
So Grandpa got this in a estate sale.
I can just see myself in this time period.
You know, we could have 100 different little things on it.
Chum is at it again with his goofy questions. This case is loaded with curiosities that would leave anyone baffled. Oh boy, Chum just can't help but entertain with his jokes, making the situation even more amusing.
Made in London, like the crucifix, which is a little scary.
It's probably not as scary as coming face to face with a vampire, Rick.
Everything is 100% correct.
He's so relentless. Plus, Rick is not about to let this item slip away easily. But can they agree on the seller's asking price? The bigger question is, how can Rick bargain for something he knows almost nothing about?
Over 100 years old, I was thinking $6 grand.
I've never seen anything in my entire career that even comes similar to compare this to, so I'm gonna give someone a call.
Sounds good.
Thank goodness an expert is here. He meticulously examines each piece inside the case. Is this proof that vampires are real? The expert scrutinizes the items further to see if he can find out more about them.
That's interesting. So Philip Burne-Jones, he was an artist in England. He did a painting called The Vampire, and it was this woman vampire over a man who was dead. And it was scandalous, actually, because aggressive women at the time were, you know, something in London society that they did not want.
Okay, with each item he touches, the more intrigued he gets. But the mystery remains. Were they truly used in killing vampires? I wouldn't know. But let's keep watching, guys.
Okay.
Chum, smell that real quick? I'm kidding, dude. And this is a letter, November 1890. Dear friend, signed Arthur. I can't read that.
Moving on, it looks like this item is valuable since he's about to give an appraisal. But now that the appraisal is complete, will Rick meet the seller's price? Let's see how they go about striking a good deal.
I mean, he said 25, so I think I'd be comfortable with 20.
Okay, first off, anyone else would have just gave you the $6 grand.
I appreciate that.
I'll give you 15 grand.
In another scene, Jim approaches Rick with a book for sale. But this isn't any book, it is tied to witchcraft. He believes he will make a sweet deal and hopes to use the money to sort out his college funds. Can he convince Rick to buy this piece? Let's find out.
I got this book from a friend of mine that decided he wanted to stop collecting books, so he offered it to me. The leather covers were essentially about to fall off. I wanted to rebind it so someone could read the book and enjoy it. If we're able to make a deal today, I'd like to be able to take the money and put it towards a college fund that my wife and I have set up for our twins.
Great. Rick jumps in, giving us detailed insight into the book. Isn't it cool to hear about how witches were tracked down in history? I'm eager to hear more from Rick.
And it's the children that they were accused of bewitching. It's basically their testimony. This actually is a second edition. The first edition was printed in 1682. This is the stated second edition from 1716.
Interesting. Rick quickly dives in to check the book's condition. Meanwhile, Jim tries to distract Rick from being too concentrated on it. Let's see how much he is willing to sell the book for.
I'm asking $2,500 for the book.
Okay. I have no idea if that's a good price or not. Do you mind to have someone look at it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Would love to.
She knows everything there is to know about him, so.
Okay.
Give me a few minutes, I'll get her down here.
I'm curious to find out. An expert is the best person to give more insight into the book. Now that Rebecca, the expert, is here, she further enlightens the boys about this historical record. Rick is left stunned by the stories.
Don't we all, though? And I love learning about primary source historical records that tell us.
Even Jim is too. Guys, there is a catch. The book isn't a first edition, which dramatically drops the value. Let's hear Rebecca's final evaluation.
Right? So that first edition is going to be more desirable because we know that's the edition that influenced the Salem witch trials.
Correct.
So as far as value goes, I would place this particular copy around $1,500 to $1,600.
After hearing Rebecca's assessment, what does the seller think? How well will Rick bargain with him for this item? Stick around to see how this deal unfolds.
So what do you want now?
$1,250.
I'll give you $900 for it.
About $1,100.
I'll do $1,000.
How about $1,050? We'll split the difference
I will
there.
give you $1,000. It just doesn't make sense to pay any more.
All right, I'll do $1,000.
Sweet.
Now, things get even creepier. Someone pulls up to the shop with an iron casket. It is unsettling and not something you'd expect anyone to carry around. On the other hand, Rick doesn't find this funny, as you can tell from his face.
So you have an iron casket.
Yes, this is an 1860s Fisk iron casket.
Okay. This thing just creeps me out.
It's terrifying indeed. Rick doesn't even want the casket opened, but at the end of the day, it has to be opened to know precisely what he's dealing with. Rick asks Jim where he got such an item from. Slowly, Rick summons the courage to analyze it to know how long it is dated.
So where did you get this thing?
My boss was emptying out the storage area.
Okay. Well, it has to be a Fisk because late 1840s Fisk patented the iron casket.
Whoa, that long? An expert won't be needed because Rick is more than willing to enlighten the seller. The casket was made of iron to prevent grave robbery, and Rick explains why it was designed this way.
But for the day, they were very innovative. This company, I think, probably made a lot of money. Back in the day, most people were buried in a plain wooden casket. But this caskets were designed to help preserve the body. And remember, back then, sometimes it took a few weeks to transport a body. They could get stinky.
Cool. However, is this item collectible? Will Rick add this spine-chilling item to his shop? Stay glued to find out more.
You know, I actually know this for a fact that these things actually, people do collect these things. And I would like to make you an offer,
Okay.
but it's creepy.
What if I came down off the 35?
It's
$27.50.
You know,
You'll sell it for $4.
We have yet another creepy item, and Corey is at the counter to assist this customer. Stuart goes on to explain more about this veneration item.
The Osmat are a tribal people of New Guinea, and they're well known for their ritual veneration of their ancestors.
How'd you come about getting it?
I'm a collector and dealer of human skulls and other odd things.
That's kind of creepy, man.
We have got a smooth talker here. Let's know what Corey thinks about this skull. I wonder where this seller got this shrunken skull from. It's used in ritual processes. What a scary tale.
They never found any remains or anything, but when your dad's the governor of New York and you're from one of the richest, most well-known families in America and you just show up missing in New Guinea, you know, imaginations are gonna run wild. You know, who knows actually what happened to him?
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is probably a tourist piece?
Yes, this is a tourist piece.
Intriguing. This fellow hopes to get $2,100 for this item, but will Corey bite? I wasn't expecting Corey to offer $600, which is low. How far will this go? Let's find out.
I'd offer you about $600. I mean, if you have a fun story and a fun idea, but it's basically an arts and crafts project on a skull.
I'd like to get a little more. What about $1,400?
How about $800? That really is the most I'm gonna pay you.
I still think it's low, but you know what? I'll just take it.
$800? All right,
800.
cool. Deal.
Kaluk walks in with a totem that is up for sale. Why would he want to sell something that means a lot to him? Is a sacred item worth the buy? Well, let's see. Rick seems perplexed and unsure of what exactly this is.
Still in excellent condition, so I won't take any less than $300 for it.
Not to be disrespectful or anything, I don't know anything about this stuff.
This is called a totem,
Like a totem pole?
like a energy totem. It's a spiritual totem. It's used for personal growth.
Let's see if Kaluk can better explain the item. It's unfortunate that he doesn't have much explanation for this item. I don't know how Rick will buy something he's clueless about. It's a smart move that he wants to bring someone to come have a look.
Sistine Chapel of totem poles or complete crap? I just don't know. I have to have someone look at it and tell me what it's worth.
Well, it's made by a medicine woman.
Okay, something like this, I just don't know. I do know a girl who does, and I wouldn't be able to purchase it until I talk to her.
I would appreciate that you would.
Okay.
That way you would know the value of it.
Okay, but there's no way I can put out any money until I bring an expert.
Great. The expert pointed out that people in medicine sculpted this kind of totem for healing. Whoa! Who would have thought this creepy item could be used for something so profound? I would love to hear more.
Owner, wherever you are, give you information, take in information.
So is it in good condition, or?
The answer is yes, but it's never perfect. So I'm really excited to see this.
All right, the more this expert talks, the crazier it sounds. Rick is bothered about authenticity and collectability. Now that he has clarity about the totem, will he go on to make a deal with Kaluk?
So how can you tell that this thing's authentic?
You have to trust me on this one.
Do I have any idea what she's talking about? No.
I would estimate around $400.
Okay, well thanks. If I was in the museum business, I would hop all over this totem.
This seller approaches the old man and Chumlee with the intent to sell his collection of prosthetic eyeballs. Chum is wide-eyed with these eyeballs. Now, you know where he got this item from.
It's an interesting collection. How did you acquire it, son?
From my dad, who was in the optic business. They're all hand-blown glass, 1890s to 1939. I think they're real interesting for how old they are. I mean, having to have all the detail in them. I mean, you got the veins and everything in them.
Great. Mike knows much about this collection. These eyeballs are used in place of eye patches. It's pretty funny how Chum cracks jokes out of anything. Imagine having to put this in the pawn shop.
Out of glass since around World War II. This looks like a doctor's set. You got different sizes and different colors to match the eye that you have in your head. Tell me what color's my eyes.
I can't never see them. They're always closed. Oh, they're blue.
Looks like the old man isn't fascinated by this collection. Will he still make an offer? Watch and see.
They're not that valuable. They made a lot of them and they never wore out, so there's still a lot of them out there. They're just a little bit freaky.
Freaky? This is Vegas. You get people who buy kind of stuff like this all the time.
No, not really. We're going to pass, friend. I thank you for bringing them in.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Diana meets Rick in the pawn store to sell an item. It's a skeleton paw. Where did she get such an item from?
Okay, I thought you were going to say Bigfoot, but
I have a fossilized paw of a cave bear. I've had it for about 5 years. I'm hoping to sell it for about $1,000.
Whoa! Diana goes in to talk more about this fossilized item. Rick offers to give us more details about the animal from which the paw originated. He then goes in to analyze the item.
So it's all fossilized?
Yes.
Is this all wired together, or?
Wire and I suspect some glue.
Okay. These things are definitely collectible. As a matter of fact, the whole fossil thing is sort of hot right now.
There you go. You need this.
So you're looking to sell this, correct?
I am.
Interesting. He brings in a specialist to check it out before he can finalize what to do. The expert inspects the item and shares more insightful details about it. It's a fossilized skeleton from a bear. Pretty cool, right?
Probably ate more vegetables than meat.
But you still wouldn't want to piss them off.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, one swat of a cave bear and, break your neck. These animals are remarkable. They were the size of a Kodiak grizzly, standing 10 or 12 feet tall.
Great. He also needs to know how the fossil was preserved to determine its authenticity. Does it check out? Let's see.
Okay, so this is all 100% like 30,000-year-old bear.
This specimen is 100% fossil.
What's it worth? Retail value?
These are super cool because it's a bear paw, but these are fairly common. If this came into the museum, I would appraise it.
Now that the evaluation is done, will Diana change her initial price? Let's see how it all goes down.
Can you do 500?
I'll go 4 1/4. That's really the best I can go.
Can you squeak it up to 450?
No. I mean, these things are neat. They do sell, but they take a long time.
Okay, well, I like you. 425. All right.
Sweet.
Mike comes in with a shrunken head that he got from a pawn with someone. Rick's dad was immediately stunned when he revealed the item to the boys. He even jokes that the shrunken head looks like Chumlee. Let's move on to the business of the day.
Get any story with him or anything?
I think he said it was a long-lost relative.
How much did you pawn it for?
I gave him $500 for it.
Okay. I've been in this business for over 20 years, and I can honestly say this is my first shrunken head.
Cool. Rick explains how shrunken heads were made. I wouldn't have thought it was gotten from a human. That's wild. However, Rick has issues with this item.
Out in the Amazon jungle, someone would have carry this thing around for years and years and years, it's still white.
Right.
You know, I'm going to call it a fake, a very, very good fake. If it was real, there would be some rotten places. I mean, don't you hope it is fake, sort of?
A lady walks in with a strange-looking rock. She meets Corey, and Corey can't even imagine what this could actually be. She claims it's a fossilized hand. Let's see how it turns out.
It looks like a hand. I mean, it looks like it's missing the middle finger, but that could have been chipped off or worn.
I got mad at somebody. I'm coming into the pawn shop today to hopefully sell my primate hand from the Neanderthal period.
Oh well, Corey begins to piece things together. He shares his thoughts about it and tries enlightening her on its origin. Unfortunately, the seller has no paperwork to authenticate this.
Do you have any paperwork, anything like that?
My stepfather took it to an archaeologist, and it was determined that it was primate hand because there's only bones here instead of the 5.
Okay, what are you looking to do with it?
That's really a problem. Asking $15,000 for a rock with no proof? That's risky. It will be much better if he has someone to come confirm what the item could actually be.
Do you mind if I have a friend of mine come down and take a look at it?
Absolutely.
He knows this kind of stuff pretty well.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and hang out. I'll give him a call, see if I can get him back.
Awesome, thank you.
Under earth do we have here?
Great. Now that he's here, he quickly examines it to check if it was from the Neanderthal period as the seller claims. But the most important thing right now is to confirm if it is a fossil or not.
So I don't think it's a fossil per se. So we've got one of two things going on. It's just basically your eyes playing tricks on you.
Right.
Or we have an actual imprint. His hand goes down, it gets filled over with silt.
Right.
Yikes, oh boy, seems there is something up about this item. The expert thinks that it is an imprint. That's unexpected. But whose imprint could this actually be? Let's hear from the expert.
Sorolophus bends down to eat, puts his hand in the mud, stands back up, mud gets filled in. 100 million years later, somebody finds it in an old quarry or something.
All right, with all that the expert has to say, has Corey's mind changed? What will be his next move? The disappointment on this seller's face tells there might be a problem. Watch and see what it could be.
I'd offer you about $500. You know, I know it's hard to go from 15,000 to 500, but I also thought you had something completely different.
In this scene, a gun collector stops by the pawn shop with a pistol for sale. What's more about this pistol is that it is not the regular one. Chum seems pretty excited about this.
See why they call him a duck foot? Looks like a little duck foot.
It does.
Swimming through the water.
I came into the store today to sell an original pair of duck foot pistols from the 18th century.
Nice. Chris shares more insight that might be helpful to Chum. This seller knows his guns. The way he speaks shows it. Can you guess how many bullets it fires at once?
So the captain of that ship, he could fire 8 shots at the same time, taking out as many mutineers as possible.
I don't know if I'd want to be the captain on a ship out at sea. Sounds pretty dangerous to me.
That's insane. Moving on, I hope Chum doesn't mess things up with this customer. He goes further to inquire of the condition. The way this seller is demanding $50,000, it's best Chum calls in someone for help.
50,000? I mean, it could be possible. You let me take these to the gun range and fire them.
I'm fine with that. I'd like to fire him too.
All right, well, you got time today?
That's a good option. Looks like we are in for a range shooting for a test shoot. The gun needs to be tested before proceeding to bargain. Looking at expert tags alongside them, he gives more details about the gun.
Pristine pair of duck's foot pistols.
Those are cool.
Wow, check that out.
Wow, Chum, you actually didn't screw this up.
Told you.
Cool. Well, enough about the stories. Let's get to firing. The expert is quite skeptical about this because of how old this duck pistol is. It's time for the moment of truth.
That is cocked and ready to fire. Corey?
Chum, you're first.
Chums didn't all fire at once. They went pop, pop, pop.
Yeah.
Me now? That was not what I was expecting at all.
I'm curious to find out. Seems they are all having a great time firing this gun. Well, we didn't have all day to spend. Let's hear the expert appraisal.
They're the real deal. They're rare. They're really early by a known maker, and they fire. These are not inexpensive pistols. I value them at $45,000.
With all that being said, it's left for both parties to strike a deal. Let's watch as it all unfolds.
It's not every day that, I got somebody coming in to look. Can you come down a little bit, or?
Would you accept 40?
I'll tell you what, man, I can do 30 grand. That's the most I can do.
Rocco comes in with a Freddy Krueger doll. He hopes that today will be his lucky day. The sight of this doll scares the shit out of Rick's dad.
You okay, boss?
I decided to come out to the pawn shop to sell some Freddy Krueger dolls that are signed. They've never been out of the box except to be signed. This one was out of the box. It's signed underneath the belly, and there's a pull string on the back.
I would be scared too. They move in to discuss more about this doll. It sure brings in some childhood memories. Let's hear how much this seller wants to sell it for.
I remember watching it when I was about 6. That's probably what's wrong with you today. I never understood horror movies. If you want horror, have a couple of kids. What are you wanting to do, sir? Pawn them, sell them?
I like to sell them.
A man walks in with a book by Bram Stoker. Yes, we are talking about a vampire book. Mark believes that it's worth a lot of money because it was signed by the author. Well, let's not jump in conclusion without yet. What does Corey have to say?
How'd you get it?
Bought it at a charity auction.
Okay. Mind me asking what you paid for it?
Less than what you're gonna give me for it.
All right.
And this is the guy that put Dracula on the map.
He didn't invent the vampire, though.
Here comes the vampire stories. Scary. He goes in to check out the condition of the book. The seller wants to sell this for a pretty high price. Unfortunately, there might be a problem.
Problem is, you don't have a first edition. The first edition, what you're asking for all day long. And I don't know what his signature's worth.
Ops. An expert will be the best option to help out. He needs to have it authenticated. Now that he's here, he goes on to analyze the book. I'm curious to know what he has to say.
I mean, how many movies have been made about this?
Yeah.
It was actually not the original book. There was a book apparently written 30, 40 years beforehand, and it never caught on like this.
Wow. Let's get down to authenticating the signature. Mark seems pretty excited with how it is going. Does it check out to be genuine? All right, moving further, an appraisal is expected.
The condition of the book is not very good. If I had to put a retail on it, really, I would have to say $4,000 or $5,000.
Okay.
Yay. Now that they have listened to the numbers the expert gave, let's see how they go head to head to strike a deal.
It's not the 15 that I was hoping for, but
I want to say $2,000.
This man brings in a shower curtain for sale at the pawn shop. Isn't that weird? It gets scarier because it was signed by Anthony Perkins. Chum doesn't find this thing funny. Mark hopes he will make a good deal.
When I asked $400, but I think the least I would take would be $3.
This is deeply, deeply cool.
Is it just me, or is it weird that you got a shower curtain autographed?
Well, not too fast. Rick quickly dives into the backstory surrounding this curtain. He further asks the seller how much he wants to sell for.
How much do you want for this?
$400. It's not a photo, it's something a little bit more unique.
To tell you the truth, it actually sounds like a reasonable price. You just want to make sure it's his signature in his hand.
All right, well, the specialist is here to share his second opinion and have it authenticated. He doesn't really believe that it was signed by Anthony Perkins. It's best if he checks it out first.
That's pretty interesting. Actually, it looks like blood. Here's an authentic version of his signature, and we see some of these similarities here.
Yay, this seller is pretty much excited with the expert's final conclusion on the signature. Let's move down to the numbers.
Photographs, $300-400, vintage stuff. This is something I'd value right around $800 to $1,000 range, easily.
Yes, the appraisal. Let's see how it goes. Rick regrets calling in an expert. This seller might go home with way more than he expected.
That was before I listened to your expert.
God, I should have never called him in. I'll tell you what, I'll go $500.
500? I don't think Mother likes your bid.
Still have to get it framed up. I still have to do a lot of stuff to sell it.